Welcome back, everyone, to the Intel Extreme Masters. Of course, here at Gamescom 2015 and the 10th season of the Intel Extreme Masters, celebrating the return of Counter-Strike to this circuit. And we do have a new face joining us on the panel. D-Man, how is it to join us here? Isn't it much better with 2 extra people than 1?
It is, but I feel we've got a lot to talk about and a lot of time to talk about it in.
we've got a lot to talk about, don't we? I mean, let's talk about that last match, right? We got to wrap it up. We have some closure with that match. It was a little bit brutal, at least on the scoreboard.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, also the speed of the rounds themselves seemed to go pretty quickly. Now, too, I mean, let's talk with you first. Just what do you think really mattered there? I mean, was it simply the Mouse is really that strong coming in this week, or is it a combination of the map and the matchup?
And I mean, it should tell a little bit of a story that it was 9-0 for Mouse, and then Renegades picked up 1 round, and that forced Mouse to eco, which means there was a lot of close rounds. It could have easily been a lot closer, but you gotta give Chris J a lot of credit for a lot of tough situations that he managed to pull off, and playing very well under pressure, something he wasn't really known for previously. So yeah, just a lot of, I think it just came down to individual performances under pressure in the tiny little moments in the end of the rounds.
Performances and positioning, honestly. Gobby was literally moving them like chess pieces into perfect positions every time, which was giving them the edge in them one-on-ones. And I just spoke to Renegades about it, and they're just like, yeah, we just didn't play well. But I said, but you got it down to a lot of one-on-ones. It says, yeah, we weren't hitting our shots, which I think pretty much was the story of that game. Like every time they got a rifle round, like you said, they got them down to one-on-ones, one-on-twos. Just couldn't close out the rounds though. But it was crippling the economy of mouse sports, but just not quite enough.
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely those rounds when you were casting in game 2. We would hear you guys talking about how, oh well, okay, Renegades definitely got the play they wanted, they've got the setup they wanted, but then the shots just never came through for them. Mouse, of course, on the other end was definitely on point.
When you think about it, I mean, for Renegades, when you have one player not really showing up as much, Havoc was not having a game of his life for sure. Yeah. I don't think they have the manpower to have anyone being that absent in a matchup.
That's a big problem. As I said, we just did the Asia qualifiers, and Havoc is normally the top fragger for the teams. So when he is at the bottom of the board, that's a big loss for any team. Any team out there, if you normally your top fragger, your best player you rely on, is having a bad start, it's going to be hard to come back for no matter. And when you've got players like God B, Chris J, Nex, all hitting shots left and right, so one goes down, well, the other comes in and picks up a double. It's like, it's so easy for a team to come out on top.
Right. Yeah, and the Mouse is actually a really good team on Dust 2 as well. That's the kind of map where players like Chris J, we saw Nex before, he was playing very well this match as well.
Speedy in the pistol, triple.
I mean, like, everyone climbed in and just played very well, everyone individually, and made it, like, it wasn't, like, for Renegades, it was a disastrous start.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very simple way to put it. It definitely was a disastrous start, but not all hope is lost. Of course, they still have 3 lives to get through. Now, going forward, D-Man, I don't know if you heard the whole conversation there, but Anders is arguing staunchly that it's common sense to make it so that every rotation you can always set up Envy and TSM playing against each other. What are your thoughts on that?
I actually have inside information as well, because I just spoke to League Ops, the referees guys running it, and says we're in trouble because they're all ganging up on TSM. And I was like, that's good. No. That's what we want. We want everybody to gang up on TSM. I was trying to get across. That's the point. We're not building up to this grand best-of-5 final of TSM versus Envy. The point is to knock them out as soon as possible. And it makes common sense that all the lesser teams, the smaller teams, the ones that are not considered favorites, gotta try and knock them out of the tournament. And what better way is to put them against every single game. So probably is going to be the next match after this one.
Now, but what happens, right? What if Envy, I mean, do you think there's any way for TSM to climb out of this hole for themselves? Because even if they win, right, they have to select someone that's not Envy. And then you just kind of have that system play out again.
Well, I mean, when you're TSM, you just got to count on winning matches when you're playing.
You just have to. Yeah. You just got to win whenever you play.
But also, the tricky point is, like, while we're saying, yeah, it's going to be TSM versus Envy all the time, and they're going to try and do it. When whoever wins this one, CLG or SK, if the map comes out, they're going to know these 2 teams like the back of their hands. The map comes out, suddenly is Inferno, you're like, actually, that could go either way, possibly. But if you look at it and think, that's a map TSM are going to win easily, or if that's a map Envy are going to win easily, maybe you don't want to put them on.
Right.
Maybe you've got to try and switch it up. Maybe throw mouse sports under the bus.
Yeah. That's actually true, yeah. I mean, especially also now as we see the maps being eliminated from the rotation for the rest of the day, that could come into play. Like you said, I mean, if everyone's like, TSM definitely wins this one against most other teams. just pass on that one for TSM, and then we'll have a little bit of a switch up in matchups.
I do actually really want to see Mouse versus, TSM Envy on the Inferno though, because we want to see what the new Envy is bringing to Inferno. What Kenny S and Apex have brought to the plate.
Oh, definitely. That's the thing. Like, we don't really know Envy's strengths at this point on certain
Happy wasn't giving it away, was he? You tried.
Why would he?
Yeah, I mean, he simply said, well, Inferno, yeah, we'd like to play on that, but otherwise keep him pretty quiet. But they seem to be in really good form. Now, two teams we haven't seen yet that will be playing next. It will be CLG versus SK. Let's talk about how they're doing recently. Let's start with CLG, right? They just won the NA qualifiers for ESL1 Cologne. Seem to be doing pretty fine there. And we talked earlier, Nacho, you were saying they're definitely a little bit of a hot and cold team too. D-Man, what's your take rather on CLG coming in this week?
They just 2-0'd Liquid, wasn't it? They 2-0'd in the finals to qualify, which in itself was fantastic for them, because obviously there's always been this debate of like who's fighting for position. Obviously Cloud9 clearly the number one in NA right now. CLG looking to be clearly the number two now, because Liquid were challenging them for a long time, but now they seem to be pretty much in control. They had obviously that little change. They took out Peter, they brought in JDM, and actually Cutler doing the in-game leading as well seems to be working well. So things are starting to tick for them. Remember, they beat Fnatic back at the Pro League. They beat them in the initial group stage on Mirage. They know Mirage is their strongest map, and they're hoping that somebody picks it for them. They've already been tweeting out, like, to their fans, guys, you've got to start voting for Mirage. We want to play Mirage.
Yeah, you want to keep that in the pool, of course, for when you get to play. On the other side, though, SK Gaming, we discussed earlier a little bit on, is it really going to be worth that trade of bringing a star player over the whole communication barrier that you may have in-game? Is there anything you're going to look out for in terms of this specific matchup against CLG, though?
I think it's more about Overpass as a map that requires quite a bit of strategy, actually, to really work as a team. Okay, you can, to an extent, you can complement, like you can use individual skill to try and even out the gap you will have when it comes to strategy and communication. But end of the day, Overpass is a map where specific smokes and like just reading situations and communicating well because of the rotation times is very important. So might be an issue.
And obviously we're talking about SK. The fact is they use Nico that's coming in instead of Freeze. So what element is that going to bring to the team? SK, a team that have actually gone through 2 roster changes in the last 2 months already since becoming a team. Seems almost standard for a Danish team. I'm sure Anders can bring us more to light on that one, but they love to change players. But Nico coming in, he's a very good player.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was actually somewhat surprised when Mouse obviously adjusted their lineup, and he was one of the guys that was put out. I was very surprised by that.
Yeah, I understand that too. Like the communication, for them it's more natural to speak their mother language.
Of course.
Instead of, I think it was down to Goppy being, not comfortable speaking English when communicating, and
who just did a killer interview, by the way.
Oh yeah, he nailed it totally.
On point. Couldn't have asked for better.
Oh, definitely. But well, for SK at the same time also they have KD now, who can pick up the. It's not like they're like getting, they're missing out on Opper now. Obviously, Freeze is a good Opper, but they have KD in for opping, and now Nico has a lot of raw talent. If I was them, I would just play with 4 and let him do whatever. I mean, just send him on one side of the map and, bring chaos. Do whatever you want. Just, make sure you get that entry or lurk around, whatever.
So where would you put him? As the NIP coach, putting your hat on, you've got a great rifler coming in. Would you put him on B side, maybe just causing chaos there, or would he be the aggressive guy on A?
It would be
as a CT side.
On CT side? I would definitely put him on playing A side and play aggressively. Try to get the first picks, fall back and play smart there on out. On T side, it's basically either A long or B, and try to lurk, or depending on what the other players are doing, try to just force an entry and just play by your individual skill.
Okay. Now, I was just rolling, getting my gears running a little bit here as we're talking about this matchup. Let's assume that CLG wins. And of course, I mean, sure, we're hearing that everyone's kind of wanting to bully up against TSM because they're the favorites coming in. Do you think at any point CLG is going to sit there and be like, well, we're the only American team here. You Europeans, you guys are always bickering about who's the best in the world because Europe's better than everyone else anyway in CS. Just go at it and be like, hey, you know what? Any two of you guys play it out. Or even say, you know what? Because if you want to win, at some point, you're going to have to beat the strongest team anyway, right? With the lives you have remaining. So maybe you'd rather not take the chance and have MV play against someone like SK or Renegades consistently to try to just get your other like rivals in the lower half knocked out first, and then you only have to kind of aim for the top prize.
I mean, especially when you're an underdog, you just want to have the big dogs playing one another. Make sure they're losing lives from. It doesn't really matter for them which one wins, to be honest with you.
I spoke to CLG earlier when I was trying to help explain the tournament to them, and the realization was ticking in. It was like, wait, so the last day, realistically, we could be against TSM with 4 lives left, so we'd have to beat them 4 times. I was like, yeah, that's the way it could work, which is probably why we're starting to see them. I mean, who else? You just want to bash heads, get TSM MV bashing heads, knock themselves lives, get them down to as low as possible. The thing is like, realistically, you're not going to get like NV 4-0 TSM or Sunny TSM come out 4-0. They're just going to knock lives off. So they're still probably going to be around come day 3.
Yep.
And even with 1 life left, as Anders said earlier on, they're still very dangerous. In fact, probably even more so because they know they're on the edge, the frailty, that we lose this game, we're out. So they're going to be like hyper-focused. It's a real tricky situation. Interesting political format being set up.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that because now that whole kind of the nerves and the anxiety kicking in isn't about like getting to the finals or being knocked out of the bracket stage. It's actually when you have 1 life left, suddenly every match is a final for you, right?
Yeah.
You're just trying to stay alive so you can be that last man standing with that 1 life. We could really see some teams either crumble under that pressure or, like you said, turn up right there and just cruise through.
Well, TSM have got over their choking syndrome, so they could just cruise through. We should point out, like, I mean, as much as everyone was looking at last week's results where TSM didn't have a good tournament, they were saying, oh, maybe they weren't treating it 100% seriously. SK beat them 2-0. The same SK that's here. Bearing in mind 1 player difference.
Oh, no, that's a good point to bring up. Of course, all of you guys at home, don't forget, tell us who you think is going to win or, what matchups you want to see. Maybe you can help influence the players' thoughts a little bit if you have a different take on how all these politics play out. Don't forget to tweet it out to either your favorite players or all of us here at hashtag IEM on Twitter. You can also share all of that nice information. Maybe you're a political science major, or maybe you actually work in politics in real life and you've got some nice extra thoughts here on how this tournament can play out. You can let us know on Facebook and also catch up on all the VODs on YouTube, catch highlights on Plays.tv. Lots going out throughout the week. Right now we are waiting for our 3rd game between CLG and SKM. By then we'll have taken a look at all 6 teams here at least once, and maybe we'll get a better idea there. Do you think the performance of these teams will start to give teams a little bit of a second thought on who should match up, especially let's say NV and TSM have just accepted, all right, we're going to have to play each other until one of us gets knocked out anyway. Do they start thinking, well, is there a way we can try to knock one of the other teams out much earlier, just make it a little bit simpler so that we have a chance to mix up the matchups? Because when you're down to 5 or 4 teams, you may have to play back-to-back
or maybe they actually club together and go, you know what, everybody's trying to pair us against each other. Well, what can we do to take these little boys out of this game, so it's just us 2 left? So maybe that's just what's going to happen. They're going to have to start talking to each other. I don't know. It's some sort of strange alliance might form, despite the fact they have to play each other a lot.
It can get tricky.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a player, I'll put the player perspective at this.
Okay.
You just want to go play. You just go.
Of course,
it doesn't matter who you're playing against. You're just gonna go out there and play. That's like what they like. I don't think they think as much, maybe. Maybe
you
later
think we're
on,
giving them too much credit to thinking?
Yeah, maybe. Just slightly. I think they just got to go there and, play Counter-Strike. That's what they do for a living. So
All right.
I just want to play.
Fair enough.
Well,
I'm sitting here. I'm eager for all the cynicism and whatnot to come through this week.
I mean, the trickiest thing, especially with this tournament format, is ordinarily you're coming into a tournament and you're like, okay, we're playing X at Y time, so therefore we'll go get a food, we'll do this, we'll be in practice. They plan everything ahead. As it is now, 1 game finishes and suddenly, whoa, hang on a minute, we need to be on stage. We're playing X map. We're not prepared for this, and suddenly, wait, has anyone actually looked at the strategies for this team to figure out what to do?
As an example, I just saw TSM back there. They were looking at some smokes and stuff from Cobblestone, which they already played today. So this is an opportunity, like I said before, for teams to review where they are against teams, and also for themselves, where do they stand in certain maps.
Yeah.
So if they notice like flaws here and there, you have the opportunity. We have a great practice area for the players here, so they get to look at things for future reference and stuff like that. So it's a very, very good field to test out and see since you're playing different teams on different maps, you don't get to decide yourself.
Yeah, I'd love to get a camera backstage actually, because like you say, every team has their own little bank of PCs set up. Instead of obviously the up high in the rafters when they have to actually play. But I mean, God B said it's nice and cool in there. It is, which it is. You know, it's actually Cologne. I can see outside. He's looking pretty damn hot out there. I think it's 30+ degrees, and we're in this big air-conditioned convention center. It's beautiful. Yeah, even if it's a little loud.
Yeah, it's definitely better though than out sitting in the sunlight for sure. It's interesting that you bring that up about how the players are not really sure when they need to be ready, because it's like welcome to the commentator life, right? It's like we don't know when the game is going to end. We just got to be ready all the time. Sit here and watch every single one and get ready to jump on the microphone. And for them, of course, now jump onto their stations, get everything set up. Well, it sounds like both teams for game number 3 are almost all ready and set to go into our third match. Again, it's going to be on Overpass between CLG and SK. We talked a little bit about how we think that might play out. Again, it's all going to be best of ones. We really have to look at things a little bit more in hindsight, and also just what condition the teams are in. Given that it is best of one, I feel like condition matters in some ways a little bit more than usual, because you can't rely on your consistency or your muscle memory as much. You just got to perform every time you're up on that spot. So, I mean, what do you think, Nacho? Do you think here, in some ways, like, you just have to be on your top condition much more often, because you don't get a second chance, right? You have 4 lives, but once you lose a matchup, you've lost it. You can't go back to it.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said before, it's a matter of momentum in this kind of situation a lot. Definitely when it's a best of one, there's just a few key rounds that really define how the match is going to run out. If you lose the pistol round and you lose the first weapon round, then you're like going to be likely 5-6 down already, and that's a really hard deficit to come up from when it's a best of one. In a best of 3 environment, obviously you can take more risks, and you think of it, you just approach it in a different manner. But in a best of one, in this scenario, it's a lot about just coming in, hitting your early shots, and really just flying with that.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we had Happy talking about it earlier, too, how pistol rounds can matter so much now that it's all best of ones.
Especially when it's a map that you may not feel comfortable on. If you win a pistol round, it gives the team a boost, a lift. We saw it, like I said, with Happy. Envious won both pistols, which did give them a big boost. I mean, it was 16-11. You think if they'd have lost those 2 pistols, you're looking at a potential 16-14 or a tiebreak situation. Now, there are no ties in this. It will go overtime. It will go MR3 10,000 if we ever get there, which will be actually fantastic. But looking back to, obviously, SK and CLG, like, record-wise, as far as I remember, they've never played each other. I haven't actually delved too deep into that one. I'm pretty sure they haven't, though, because I'm trying to think of tournaments they've faced each other on. But also, how much of either team practiced Overpass? Obviously, you've got SK coming in with a substitute, so probably haven't done too much on it. They'd just be hitting it right now. The same with CLG. Well, they would have played it in the Pro League, but as far as I can think, Overpass is not a massively played map in America, other than when they're kind of forced to play it by his various leagues. But I don't think, like, have you ever seen CLG try vetoing towards Overpass? No, it's generally got rid of.
I think for, like, when you think about it, it's an easier approach for SK when they have a stand-in. You know, people are not really going to expect much out of them. Yeah. To be honest with you, so it's going to be a lot easier for them to come in and just have fun, enjoy playing Counter-Strike for the level of the game, and see where that takes you. That's the kind of approach. If you're SK, that's what you're going to be thinking about. You have no pressure at all. Yeah,
I mean, just enjoy it, and you know, that could really work out for your benefit, right? The pressure gets off, and you perform for a couple rounds, and still the pressure's not there, because it's like, well, now we've exceeded expectations, so we're set. Like, we're good to go. Like, we're the 3rd team standing still. It's not too bad.
The interesting part comes tomorrow and the next days. You know, when now we've seen Mouse Sports decimating Renegades on Dust 2. Dust 2 comes up, we might see somebody else going, you know what? Mouse Sports versus TSM.
Yep.
Suddenly, because you're like thinking they're good on Dust 2. We want to see if they can take a life off TSM or Envy or anyone else. Or, you know, TSM would be looking at and going, you know what? We don't want Mouse Sports beating up on anyone else, because they're kind of Mouse Sports are like the middle guy right now. They're probably in the best position, because the little teams are not focusing on them, the big teams are not focusing on them. They're just got to sat there in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, they can definitely lay low, I think, the best out of all 6 teams. And like you said, I think that's where the performance of the first day is really going to matter, because you get to see the map before you select the 2 teams for the next match. So every time you win, you want to take that into consideration and say, right, actually, we don't want to kind of, so to speak, waste this easy win for a certain team against a weaker team. We want to pit them up against TSM or Envy, such as Mouse Sports.
Envy, for example, they must have a weak team, because there's no chance they've got all 7 teams down in the short time they've been together. There's no way. Yeah. So basically, it's a case of how do you find that weak team? And also, don't forget, there's a lot of teams that are coming to a big tournament coming up soon. They're going to be looking to find out where that weak point is.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of attention here this week. It's definitely a fun new format. It's a nice twist, but at the same time, you can actually learn a lot more from the different angles about certain teams, given the format that it's always going to be best of ones, that you don't know which map. Like, you can't always just come super prepared for your matchup for the day, right?
You can always just have a bad day as well. That's that's the problem. Like, you might be actually good on that map, but something didn't work, something didn't tick, someone just had a bad day playing, and therefore B site was suddenly weak and you suddenly got rolled over. Next day you might be unstoppable on it.
Yeah, for me, if I'm TSM or a TSM fan, I'm not too worried still. I mean,
yeah,
just lost one life, but their map pool is so wide. They can play pretty much every single one of them.
They've proven it with a lot of best of 3 wins against the Fnatic, etc.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Envy is a new team. They've just only started. We don't know at all how many. I'm 100% sure they've not had the time to really grind out all the maps. So, it's going to come down to luck as well. Which kind of map are they going to end up playing and which team? Obviously, they could be some of the weaker teams maybe in any of the maps, to be honest with you, just with the routine that they have. But if you match up TSM and Envy on a specific map that they haven't really had time to play, yeah, it could be brutal as well.
Yeah, of course. Again, the map pool playing another spin-off here in this tournament format. Of course, we're here to also celebrate just the return of Counter-Strike to Intel Extreme Masters, which will also continue, of course, in San Jose, going over to America. Counter-Strike in America for the Intel Extreme Masters. It's a long time coming, but here we are getting ready for that in November. That's going to be pretty exciting for a lot of teams and, of course, fans in the States, too.
Oh, definitely. For those people that didn't follow 1.6, IEM World Championship used to be the thing everyone wanted to be involved with, and, that was...
This has become a personal part for you as well, because there's a lot of people that are like, IEM, but this was the home of CS.
It is, yeah. I've seen a lot of people comment, what's Intel Extreme Masters? Like,
yeah.
What? for someone that's been involved 15 years, it's like, that used to be the thing.
Yeah.
Come on.
But I mean, looking at San Jose, it is going to be huge. I mean, I was there last year, luckily, obviously, for League of Legends. StarCraft was there. This year with Counter-Strike there, it's going to be great because it's a massive arena, like San Jose is. The San Jose Sharks, I think it is, isn't it? It's the home of the ice hockey team. You were not there, were you, last year?
I was not there, no. I've only seen video footage and pictures.
it was Monty and the guys, but it was absolutely fantastic. So it's a good area, like the area around it as well. Obviously, it's in downtown San Jose, so all the facilities, there's hotels and the food, etc. Great load of restaurants. So it's even the surrounding area is fantastic. So it should be a brilliant tournament. It's in November. I'm trying to think of the date. I couldn't recall the date exactly.
Mid-November?
It's early November, I think.
I want to say like 19th through 23rd, but that sounds awfully close
we probably should have looked this up before we started talking about it.
I feel like during the commercials I saw 21st on there. I was memorizing it earlier, and now it's slipping my mind. But definitely November, I believe the later half of November there, around the 3rd week or so. So that's something, I mean, the tickets are already going on sale, so you guys can definitely check that out if you're going to be in the States or if you just want to visit. I mean, it's a good reason to visit the States. I mean, to go to San Jose, to look at that area, also catch some Counter-Strike happening for the Intel Extreme Masters in the States. It should be an explosive
It's also,
event.
Obviously a big qualifier for Katowice. At the end of the day, that's like, obviously, it's a big qualification tournament for the World Championships, the Intel Extreme, which is what the Intel Extreme Masters builds up to. It's all about that big World Championships.
Yeah.
Everybody has seen Katowice. Everybody knows how good it is.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of haven't talked too much about that because we've been so engulfed in how this tournament is going to play out with its nice, fun little format. But eventually, by the end of the year or by the beginning of next year, when we get to Katowice, it's going to be about the World Championship and who gets to claim that when CS returned to the Intel Extreme Masters for Season 10, that we commemorated that first name, that we're going to be that team that gets our name engraved into that trophy. That's got to be pretty exciting for a lot of these players. A huge prospect for sure.
Here's a question for you. Who was the last team on the trophy from Counter-Strike 1.6? I was on the stage as well. I was watching it. I think it was 2012 at CBIT, I seem to recall.
That is a very good question. I didn't actually... 2012, I tried to stay away from
Counter-Strike. To be fair, like, I could tell you who it is, and I can't remember what team they were playing under. Because it's the same guys. We had this same discussion yesterday. It's like they played under a lot of different names.
They speaking of Katowice, they come out of Poland, do they?
They do come out of Poland, yes. So, yeah.
All right.
Well, so I think they weren't under Virtus Pro at the time.
Frag Executors.
They may have been under Frag Executors.
Maybe.
That may have been the 2012. I reckon that was 2011 Frag Executors.
Oh boy. We're going into this.
Yeah.
You guys at home need to check that out.
Everyone's going online checking out, be like, well, we know, putting it up on Twitch chat and whatnot.
We're getting obliterated now. Everyone's on Twitter. It's like, obviously it was this, because...
I mean, but the fact of the matter is, as we talk about this, I mean, like you mentioned, Nacho, a lot of our kind of, you could say the newer generation of fans for Counter-Strike coming in with CSGO don't really know. I mean, including myself, right? I wasn't involved in the scene back when 1.6 was booming for CS, but here I am and I listen to you guys talk about it, and there's a grand history behind this game, especially tied in with the Intel Extreme Masters.
Well, we're going to get a grand historian on later on in the form of Joe Miller, who actually cast a lot of those games back then, so he'll be able to tell us all about it. It's funny, we were talking about yesterday, like how the grenades were different. You know, there's so many little nuances in there that, like, as a 1.6 player, and that's obviously where you look at the current crop of CSGO players, the guys that came from 1.6, just how well they've transferred those skills, because things were different in 1.6.
Oh, definitely. When you transition to a game that is completely different but has sort of still has the same mechanics to an extent, it just comes down to you personally. How can you be open-minded about it?
Right.
Because there was specifically all the grenades were totally different. It's just how open the maps are in CSGO.
Spray patterns, etc.
Specifically, I would like to say the how open the maps are compared to 1.6, which were a lot smaller. You couldn't throw smokes from all over the map and things like that. So yeah, it's a whole different ballgame.
And all the wall banging as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was a work of art though. Some people are really good at that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously for any given game, though, like you said, it's about how you adapt to the game, right? Once the game's set, sure, you can have patches that change some things here and there, but at any given time, it's about how you adapt to the game, not how the game adapts to you. And as we were chatting away, ladies and gentlemen, about the history of CS with the Intel Extreme Masters, we are now finally into game number 3. You guys have been waiting a long time, especially if you're a fan of CLG or SK. They didn't get to play in the first 2 games, but here they are, ready to play on Overpass.
Well, it is a tricky one. I mean, Overpass is one of those maps that, teams will either choose T or CT, whichever preference they prefer. I think it was just SK who won it. I think it was SK that won the knife there.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of the debates, because Overpass can be a pretty even map.
What do you think, Nacho?
Since his changes,
I would still go for CT first.
Yeah.
Just for the fact that it's, as you said, you can still get a lot of rounds on T side, but at the same time, if you can really make your opponent's life hard on the T side when you're playing CT, specifically when they're playing more aggressive towards the middle and the fountain area, that's one of the things a lot of teams do, especially early rounds, play very aggressively and try to prevent your opponents from actually running any of their strats. That type of play, and I think that gives you especially early rounds, that really gives you the upper hand throughout the whole match.
All right, well, we'll find out as we jump into the very first round of the 3rd match of the day and, of course, of the week. It's going to be CLG versus SK playing their first game here at the Intel Extreme Masters Gamescom.
Thank you very much, Will. What on earth are we about to witness here? SK going up against CLG. I'm Alex Machine Richardson, and I'm joined by the general himself, Anders. We're going to be digging our teeth into this one. A best of 1, and the first thing and only thing we're going to address straight off the bat, Anders, is Overpass. I just saw Katie in chat saying, why community? Why do you do this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, well, we don't even know. It could have been that a large part of the community voted for Overpass, but...
Yeah, well, they did. It was we saw 4 or 5 cards there.
All right. So, yeah, I guess people love playing Overpass. I love watching it, so I don't really mind that much, but it does seem like maybe SK aren't too confident. Apparently, Nico doesn't have that much practice playing the map. Okay. They should be, though. I think SK should be all right on this map. CLG, I mean, a lot of North American teams actually try and shy away a little bit from Overpass just because they've been focusing more on the regular map pool. Really hard to call who's going to win this, but the game is already live here, and we've got Mouse Sports starting on the CT side, which leaves CLG on the terrorist side, and already taking control of Connector and moving up towards the toilets area. I love the fact that SK are just a little bit forward here in the pistol round. Maybe you don't want to run all the way up to where the T's enter, but it's a good start here, I think, for SK.
Big chunk taken out Cadian as well, down to just 6 points of health. Cillian actually meeting a similar fate, down to 16. As a T side, they've gone relatively unscathed. Berry changes that with 2 very quick connections. And now CLG looking a little scattered. Coming from behind is going to be Nico. Good God, that's 2! This could very well be 3. Just narrowly missing out on the frag onto Hayes. And Hayes spins around and finds 2 for himself.
This is like a real pissed around already. Hayes somehow is still alive in this 1v2, in spite of some pretty heavy fire coming in from Barry and Nico. And he's going to try and sneak up. He's got plenty of time, but very little health, and he is boxed in. Maybe if he could make his escape. This is actually a very smart play from Hazed. If he can run down to B and put the bomb down, already CLG will have got more out of this round than they technically should. And you never know. There's a chance that he could clutch it. They do not currently have a kit picked up on the CT side, and also no grenades.
Wow.
And now they know.
They know, and Hayes has a flash, but the bomb goes in, so that's a little bonus for him already. Throws out that flash to try and deter someone from behind. Instead, though, catches a glimpse of one, going to walk straight on into the USP of Vasilian, as we are going to be seeing SK secure that one. But back and forth, does not even summarize that pistol round. It looked so good, but then coming through Connector, not watching their backs, and CLG, after taking control early, let it slip away.
So a couple of things. Obviously, CLG actually got the best damage off in the beginning, which seemed like a couple of more bullets and they would have won this round. But then Barry shut them down with that double headshot. Nico coming up from behind initially failed those shots.
Yeah.
But this is important. This is why I keep, trying to hype up Nico a little bit more. Especially in a pistol round, especially when you have the USPS and you don't have that many bullets, you're gonna you miss a couple of shots like that walking up from behind. Every shot you miss, the sort of the panic factor increases a little bit more and more and more, but he kept his cool all the way through. Even the last bullet he was trying for a headshot and ended up dying. So that's a very, very important skill and a very rare one. So just keep your cool like that and not get too frustrated. And SK obviously, all the rifles here. Normally, I'd like to see a CT side be way more aggressive, but when you're playing like this versus pistols, you really should just wait for them to come.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, as now it does seem that CLG are readying themselves to just kind of crash on towards that A site. And I mean, we talk a lot about Nico. He's, of course, maybe the unknown factor, the new presence for SK, of course, filling in for Freeze, but we'll talk about that in a second, as it looks like here comes the D side.
Oh, wow, almost caught there, and Barry and Cadian will pick up a kill. Each Cutlass take down one, and another shot takes down Barry. Now it is Vasilian. He's going to deny that bomb plant and sprays down Tarek as well, so very good double kill. And a pistol to finish it off with a triple. Finesse gone down, and SK managed to stabilize in spite of a very bad start. So those two kills shouldn't have happened. And actually a little bit sad that CLG didn't sort of manage to do more. I'm also a little bit upset that they didn't buy a single flashbang. I feel like if you're playing those rounds where you just have pistols and no armor, just spend the $200. But because they got the bomb part first round thanks to Hazed, they're going to be able to buy this round. And now SK are going to go aggressive. And I love this. Top of the smoke, spraying through, very nearly getting the kill. And the follow-up grenade from Cadian to take down Hazed. Great start.
Yeah, that's what we were looking for. That aggressive early presence on CT, pushing on towards Fountain, pushing on towards Party, and getting that early control. And then you can even back away. We see Fnatic do it all the time. They get that opening pick, and then they just back it up, retract, and that's exactly what we've seen from SK here. Cillian only paying a few hit points for that push and for their frag. So now CLG kind of limping their way towards the site, and they've spread their numbers quite thin. It does look like it's going to be coming down to what SK give them. You can see Cadian really being the only one to show face at this point with the boost, and Cutler trying to find any sort of connection on towards long.
Setting up for a smoke here. Kind of interested to see where this is going to land. It might be for the bank, the way that it's lined up there. But as a sort of after effect of that initial aggressive push, you can see that CLG are now really careful about pushing up. They're still very far back on the map, and we've only got 35 seconds here. So Cutler moving forward right into the tower, sprays down a Cillian. Can he catch the next player? Cadian hiding for a moment, and Barry to win that fight. But the rest of the team, they're pushing into B. And look at Nico, very smart here, turning around for the flash, going to get the spray down on Finesse. The bomb is being planted, and Tarek just wins that fight.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to be enough. JDM has been wounded. He's down to 44. That nade could be beautiful. It is. Down to 30. He's got so much to do. 3 members to find and such little health to do it. No chance in hell. And the first buy for CLG crumbles.
All right, so there was definitely an element of skill to what Nico was doing, but there was also, I think, a bit of sort of random timing there. If he's caught a little bit earlier on the slope itself, then he's sandwiched in between short and monster, and it's very, very hard to do anything. But it kind of worked out for him anyway, and he got a little bit out of it there. 3-0 in favor of SK, and the first round for CLG, well, they get the bomb plant, but that rifle round, not too much else going in their favor. Now they have that one flashbang from Tarek, and I love that. Yeah,
he heard you, Anders. He heard you. Yeah, you kind of made that request. We're going to see if that flash does anything. It doesn't. It's already been released, and no dent made in the defensive side. Cutler, though, looking to go aggressive through connector, try and open up on towards toilets. He knows that SK have a tendency to try and be a little extra passive on towards toilets, of course, barring that previous round for a Cillian.
And actually,
CLG now.
Actually, it doesn't make any sense for them to throw the flashbang. Not to harp too much on that one point, because it's not that significant. But because they had two people coming up connector, you might as well wait with the flashbang until they're ready on the stairwell so that you flash over the wall and then you go for it all together. But that's not really important right now. They don't have armor, they just have pistols. They just need to get some kills in this round and maybe put the bomb down. And once again getting caught here, Barry gets a kill, Asilian, but then Cadian gone down, and it is a 3v3.
Cutler's making a habit of this. That's his second double with the pistols onto the same site, and SK down to 3 again. Not too shabby from CLG, taking a couple of weapons away, and with a very minor investment, P250s and Tech 9s across the board, they are going to be putting an AWP in JDM's hands, and let's see where this 5th round takes them.
Yeah, and I mean, between JDM and Cadian, when it comes to AWPing, definitely put JDM quite a bit up here. He's a very powerful AWPer, has had some consistency issues. Now it's not the time for that. They need him to open up this map right away here. But look at that shot there. Tarek gone down, and Cadian with a fantastic start. Barry pushing up very aggressively. Flashed in by a teammate. Headshot on Cutler, and next in line it's going to be Hayes gone down. Finally JDM with a chance to reply, but this might not be quite in time. Again, SK, once they're a man up here, they can afford to play so defensively.
It's been happening time and time again as well, where SK get that early pick. We've seen Asilian do it. Now Cadian, every single time they get the opening pick, and CLG, just at the blink of an eye, have to play from a disadvantage. It's just not ideal. And SK, you have to remember, they've been boot camping recently. They've been spending a lot of time together over here in Germany at SKHQ. And it's given them the edge, it seems, so far in this matchup. Can we see CLG put the first round on the board here? And Nico playing for Intel.
Yeah, very smart, isn't it? Just jumping back there. He's got Cadian very close by him. He should, right now, the standard play is to wait for the bomb to be attempted. Wait for them to try and put that bomb down and then go on them. Don't fight them beforehand, it's not worth it. And Nico already dropped down a little bit here. Gonna go for a quick peek and does spot, but doesn't get the kill.
A little toggle of X-ray had me scared he got that shot there. As he knows there's two people closing in on his location. Backup has arrived as well, and that bomb in the hands of CLG is going to be very difficult. Nico connects with 2 just as we switch away, and CLG yet to change that 0. Struggling now, and their economy is 2. You can see they're probably going to have to cobble something together, or we're going to see Cutler try and get another double on the site. Here come the rifles for them then, and I think it was going to probably be double Galil for JDM and FNS.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at this point, they do have timeouts. It is a frustrating thing. And
would you say now?
Yeah, I mean, soon at least. If you lose this round, yeah, I'd say time for a timeout. Because if you do it when you're 10 rounds down, what's the point? We saw this between Renegades and Mouse Sports. They took the timeout at what, 10-1. That doesn't make any sense. It's too late. You're already tilted at that point. So either make something big out of this round or do the timeout, figure out a good way to do it. They have been going relatively slowly with the rifle rounds, whereas in the ecos, they've actually been pushing up pretty aggressively, and they've caught SK twice now with grenades in their hands. So
that's true.
Maybe they should try and go a little bit faster with the rifles and see if they can't make that work.
That's actually a really good point. CLG, they're kind of hitting a brick wall because of these slow rounds. Maybe just throwing kind of caution to the wind for a second and seeing where that gets them could be the play to make. SK, though, releasing all of that utility that they have invested in. And still see 2 Molotovs and a whole buttload of flashes for SK that they're going to be holding on to try and delay CLG further. Talking of delays, 40 seconds left on the clock, and here they come, those aforementioned Molotov smokes in for the push from CLG, and they're going to come charging into the site. Asilian, though, ready and waiting, preying on CLG through that smoke. Berry's doing exactly the same, though, as Tarek goes down, and it looks like Asilian's going to be doing fantastic work through the smoke. Didn't find the frag, though. What on earth? JDM just walks on through, and Asilian just holding on to his bullets, trying to keep things economical as it's down to Cutler. Excuse me, just finesse, as he has lost the entirety of his team, and he was nowhere near that push.
Yeah. That position from Asilian has become one of the most common positions to play on this map when you're on the A bomb site, because it's the only angle from which you can stop that plant by the boxes. Otherwise, the rest of the bomb site, you can't get the right angle as a CT, and you're going to have to allow the plant. So as a response to that, we've seen a lot of terrorist teams now, they actually just walk around that corner and pre-fire. People just crouch into the angle and shoot at that corner by the truck, because it's the only way they can stop it. If that corner's clear, you could still lose the round, but at least you'll get the bomb down. But obviously, CLG, I think they're trying maybe too many things at this point. I want them to slow it, like make it simple at this point. Try one thing, focus on the bomb plant maybe, or focus on clearing on the bomb site, but not both.
Like they're almost over-obsessing over that strat book. They're trying, okay, this didn't work, scratch that, going into the next page, and that can actually kind of be the recipe for disaster. As you can see, once again, brought down to just pistols. A couple of nades, though, which will keep Anders happy.
Yeah.
But not too much really coming out of them just yet.
Yeah, a very minimal investment and a good chance to get something done, and maybe even a bomb plant here for Cutler with the smoke and everything else. So I do kind of like that.
I do find CLG are just getting caught in toilets. It's been given to them by SK, and whenever they do find a way in, it doesn't last for too long. Cadian then opens up with the help of Asilian as he's there for a second, as Tarek does do what kind of takes off where Cutler started, and looks like Hayes has done the same. Suddenly, this is not looking too shabby for CLG. The smoke, we could see a bomb plant, and they're making a decent dent towards the SKCT side.
Sanding a little bit scary there. He was close to the pistols as well. Bomb is going to go down. There's a great headshot, but Sandin returning. And now it's all on Tarek. He's already got the double, but now he's in a 1v2 and he's trapped behind that box. And he did get a little bit of damage in and looked like maybe they were lining up there. But SK are going to retake it and it's going to be 7-0. Just to touch up on this point that you were making about the toilets area, because you're right, they have sort of been given it, although tragically for them, a lot of the rifles round where they get control of toilets, they've already lost a player. If that wasn't the case, the supposed sort of tactical strength of holding toilets is that you can switch the CT side between A and B very easily. If you get a pick off somewhere, suddenly they have to move around and they won't know where you're going until you're actually basically on the bomb site. But CLG, they keep losing that entry frag and they need to find a way to change that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk of entry frags, JDM's the name you kind of look at when you look for those, especially here on that T side. Can be quite potent with that AWP. Haven't seen too much of it yet though, sitting quite mediocre on that score, but in fact 1 for 7, just picking up 1 frag over the 7 rounds we've seen so far. Nico has already, once again, this is exactly what we're talking about. It just feels like rinse and repeat. CLG playing from a disadvantage. This time though, Tarek responds.
Yeah, a very important kill there for Tarek. And that's actually going to favor CLG. Now they have a pretty decent chance here. 2 people still at B, 2 people at A, but now they don't control toilets anymore, so it means if they want to go back up A, they need to spend so much time, and it's time that they actually don't have. They kind of need to stay at B, which also why SK's making a rotation with the 3rd player down here. They see it coming. So pretty good read right now from the Danish team. Barry holding back here, could have got shot his face off there, because I think he didn't notice that player to his left, but finally going to realize, and he's hiding in a very good spot here, but Cadian gets down by JDM.
I love this spot from Barry as well. It enables you to see under the smoke. If they choose to peek, that's going to be a leg, but it's not going to be a kill, as actually Tarek finds Barry's head. Sandin in quick response, though, as we do see ourselves in a 3 versus 2, made 3v1 by Finesse, and CLG, this very well could be their first round on the board. Then again, let's not speak too soon, as Sandin doesn't look like he's done just yet.
Well, he at least got that kill, but 1v2, not really working out.
He's got 10 grand.
He has got a lot of money. He's also got 8-0 and 0, so maybe he just wants to keep the perfect score, Alex. Maybe that's
and throw some weapons, as you can see, to his teammates. Thank you, Observer, keeping me less embarrassed.
It's why, in case Yanko, we've got...
Good old Yanko.
Yeah. I love it. All right.
He's a very stylish dude, by the way. We were talking to Yanko, and we were saying that he actually dresses better than most of us.
Yeah, I know few people have as much swag as Yanko does. It's true. So now there is a significant change. First of all, CLG winning a round, good news right there. Now they can also afford Molotovs, which means they can try and force SK out of some of these positions. Yeah, good round on them, and hopefully it's going to make SK just doubt themselves a little bit, make sure that CLG can get some comfort back here. They are on the terrorist side. I think they need to win... I want to see them winning 7 rounds in this first half, which means it's going to be an uphill struggle. Yeah,
in our discussion off air, actually, we were talking about this, and you were saying that T-side, you actually are kind of looking at 7 or 8 when you're picking up the T-side, if not more, on Overpass. And so far, CLG haven't really kind of made anything close to that.
This position from Asilian, I really don't like. Cloud9 were doing this a lot, where they had Sean Guest playing from where Asilian is, and I'm not a big fan of it at all, but we'll see if they can make it work. Pop flash in, which is a change from what Cloud9 were doing. That was actually my main point of criticism, is that they weren't doing the pop flash in. And Asilian so far has moved up fairly far onto the map, which means now SK should know almost everything that's happening. Sandin spots the legs, but he's going to get down by Hayes. The timing couldn't possibly be worse.
Yeah, that's going to be a real sucker for him, as now SK, they do have the deficit, but they all seem to be rotating to the right bomb site. Cadian, the last one to turn up. He's a bit late to the wedding, but it looks like there's no problem. It's a red wedding for them, as SK are chiming in with 2. Make it 3, 4. Barry just doing the maths for me. As now it's all onto JDM, and it's not looking likely, as this man only picking up 1 frag so far, needs to pick up 4. He's going to try and quadruple his score in just 1 round. And he started with Barry.
Good pick off there, but 8 seconds left, and he's going to get down by Cadian as well. So 8-1. The economy for the terrorist team is reset here. They do have 3 players who can buy and 2 that can't, and I would buy at this point. They actually will take the tactical timeout here. In my opinion, it's a bit late, but I think it's all right. I would actually go for the buy at this point in time. They've got 3 people who can buy, so I'd be fine with having Finesse drop an AWP for JDM, and then he drops an AK in return, and then Hayes and Cutler, they go Tech 9 armor and a bunch of grenades. I would do that. I think it's too late now. If they make it 9-1 and then try and fight back, there's a chance that they could be completely eclipsed in this match and never have a chance of doing anything. But that's probably what they're discussing at this point in time.
Where do you go from here? And also, you've discussed what CLG are going to be thinking. What would SK be considering here? Because I always find it interesting how teams, not necessarily the pausing team, respond to an enemy pause. Like, do you play your exact same game, or do you try and throw, everything away and take a risk to try and throw them off?
Well, for one thing, as we can tell, but you guys at home can't, Barry just bought an SMG, an MP9. So that's a very clear sign that SK are thinking they're going to be facing a round where nobody has any armor, so they're going to be playing against an armorless team. That might be a big mistake. If Barry is the one who's going to receive a lot of pressure here, that submachine gun can come back and haunt him. So I think SK are thinking, all right, they're going to take this one eco, then they're going to come back and try and fight us.
You suggest that with Barry's buy, but then you look at Nico and Cadian and you see a double AWP. So then you have this kind of suggestion with SK that they're going to be looking to hold the angles from afar.
Cadian has Sandens, AWP, and Nico we can't. Yeah, he's got JDM, so I think he picked it up from last round. They just stole those. And double up on this map, I think is pretty reasonable. CLG's point of view, they actually will go for just 2 armors so far and a couple of Tech 9s, so no big buy up here. They're apparently okay with the idea of being down 9-1. So we'll see if it works out. I mean, there's no right or wrong here. It's just like it's a personal thing. Okay, so if they do this, that also means that they want to play around where they have full grenades, including, I'm assuming, Molotovs. So now I'm actually hoping that we'll see like a really elaborate execute from CLG, and some are possible on the A-bomb side, but I think the most entertaining Molotov rounds go towards B. So
absolutely,
I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I mean, B can almost be completely ablaze if you play your Molotovs right. But I think another kind of point to be made about CLG while they are going into this round is the fact that there's been an in-game leader switch up. I mean, Cutler leading the charge actually here is the one that's currently leading the team, with Finesse kind of providing that backup if things go wrong. Maybe that's what just happened during this pause. Maybe Finesse has taken the reins, and we'll see how far he can get his team now. Nico going aggressive, and he's going to pay off beautifully as he finds Tarek. That's going to be a second as Finesse falls, and any hope that CLG had of making a dent on the CT side has started to dwindle with that double AWP round.
Yeah, look at Nico pre-firing with the 5-7. He's going to get the 1 kill in there, and Sandin is still one of them, but it's down to Cutler, and he is completely trapped in here. No chance of making it out. He does take down Nico, but Barry is there, and he gets a little bit back with his SMG.
$600 in his pocket. He's not going to be complaining, as that MP9 buy pays, I was about to say pays for itself, but does make a little extra dollar for him.
So we've got the AWP now on JDM. We've got 1 Molotov so far on the terrorist side, and that's going to be it pretty much. So in spite of the eco, they actually did not have quite enough money to go for 4 or 5 Molotovs here, which is a bit disappointing. Cadian again being very aggressive over by the birthday party and looking for an opening shot on somebody, but I think he realized JDM is down there, so just going to fall back. And even this, he's still accomplished just making CLG nervous. Let's see how long before they actually reach even the center of the map.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I'm intrigued to see how much progress they can get on long as well. 2 members of CLG currently there. Make it 3 as JDM shows his face there as well. And so, I mean, how much freedom does CLG need before they start making a push? Currently, checking out toilets, he's going to realize that restrooms is clear as well. And SK, they're holding this so damn passively. And I think CLG, they're almost not sure what to do with all this freedom. Given too much room to maneuver, and it's actually kind of maybe playing on their mind somewhat.
Yeah, because they need to check every corner. Yeah. I mean, there's so many sort of, nooks and crannies over there you can try and look through. So you've got to make sure there's no one hiding there.
And as soon as you kind of get into a false sense of security, they're there. As Cillian's pushed up, Cadian's gone for the opening pick, and you really have to worry.
Well, we will be seeing a fairly elaborate execute here with the smokes raining in, but are they going to actually go for it, or are they going to end up running the bomb back? Because they are still somewhat around connector area. 30 seconds left. Looks like they are going to make their way towards the A-bombs. I think JDM did get a fine opening on Barry's. That's a good start here. Now just 20 seconds of Cillian. We talked about this position one before. They have to check it, otherwise he can stop the plant from going down. It is being put through, and actually Cillian, I think he didn't hear it. It must have been eclipsed by a grenade, some sort of other sound covering that bomb. Nico finally with a good reply here with the M4 moving forward, and they're going to have to do a lot here. It's 2v4 currently, and Nico going to start off with the Molotov, trying to zone them out. And swinging around the right-hand side, he goes down to Cutler. Great position, and the Cillian trapped in here. He takes a kill on Finesse and still has almost no chance here in a 1v3 and no grenades. He should be pretty much out of this round. Cutler swinging in as he's reloading. He does go down, but yeah, Cillian can't make it. Out of time, and that pause for CLG, the tactical pause, definitely working out.
Yeah, that's what you kind of really, the doctor ordered in this one. They need to pick up the rest to make this half respectable to an extent, but a successful pause from CLG, and that does kind of set us up for a bit of speculation. That was a bit different from CLG, a full-out execute on towards the site. The only time we've really seen them throw bodies with a lot of conviction towards A was on the Eco, so that was the first time we've seen real weapons in their hands, and maybe Finesse making that happen.
Yeah, and we got the submachine gun there on Nico, and also Barry with the C-set 75 as YNK is good enough to remind us. Means even though they're up 9-2, they still don't have that much money. There's a chance that CLG could come back and make this 9-6 if it works out well enough. And yeah, you can see they've had a couple of rounds where they've had just a couple of members survive. So it's been some close calls. Sandon though opening up and picking up a kill, and that's a very aggressive move from SK, making it a little bit tricky. Look at how they're being flanked around here. Coming up behind is Barry with the C-set 75. He spots out one member of CLG, but Alex, this is a disaster for the American team.
There's so much intel gathered by one man on a C-set. He has a whole lot of nades as well. Let's not forget, Barry has a potential to completely throw a spanner in the works of this T-side. And actually, JDM, there must have been a call made, or he's getting anxious, because Barry has made himself known. Oh my god, he could have taken down Hayes. 3 points of health, backs away, and the call has been made. So CLG now, that's the last thing they needed. Finally starting to find some sort of pace, and Barry just turns up from behind.
And I'm actually impressed. I actually think Barry's playing this very well. Using the smokes, the flashes, everything. He's just trying to buy time. He knows that the more time they have to spend on worrying about him, the less time they'll have to actually get into a bomb site. But now they are making their way in. Nico holding with the AWP. I think we're Cadian up top with the AWP, and they are each going to pick up a kill. So Hazed and Cutler, well, not a lot that they could do right now. 2v4, 10 seconds left. Gonna try and see if they can go for the plant and maybe successful in putting down the bomb, but shouldn't be winning the round here. Nico moving up and ends up dropping, but Cutler in a 1v3 ends up going down to Sandon, who picks up a triple kill, I believe. And that's gonna be 10-2.
CLG struggling to stop the rot. This feels not exactly reminiscent of our previous game, seeing Renegades, of course, fall very flat over on Dust 2. But again, SK with a very clear advantage in this best of one. CLG came into this one with a big smile on their face. I was talking to Hayes, who was saying, yeah, we're feeling confident. And I mean, going up against SK, you probably couldn't have asked for a better first game for CLG to find their feet. And we're not seeing any real glimmers of a CLG that can compete here at IEM.
No, this is really tough, isn't it? They did have a fairly awful start. You never know what could have happened if they'd got the pistol round boost to begin with, and it looked like it was good, but right now they are definitely needing something a little bit extra. Katie in there with a good shot on Cutler, and also a Cillian chiming in. And this is, again, an armorless round coming out from CLG, and not a lot that they can do, and you can tell SK know it. Just going to take them down one at a time.
I don't think any calls were made there. Cillian just said, I'm just going to go kill him. Did so with 3, and I mean, this half is starting to draw ever closer, and so is this game if Counterlogic Gaming do not turn up now. Rifles are going to be lining their palms, nades as well. We are seeing a couple of limited utilities for a few, and actually JDM manages to snatch the AWP. See if he can find an opener. Still very quiet from JDM. 5 frags over the course of the 13 rounds we've seen so far. And now, where are CLG setting their sights? Very split up this time, but the bomb in the hands of Tariq and Hazed, both going connector.
And now we see another really annoying aspect of SK's defense. The previous round, they were aggressive and they ended up pushing Barry all the way behind with the C-set 75. This time, they've got a double push going on towards Long on the A side of the map, which means CLG, they can't even just have like a standard setup at this point that says, let's let's just move to this point on the map. They have to always try and figure out what's new for SK. What are they doing this round? And that also means, obviously, that the Danish team is essentially controlling the pace of this game right now. And CLG are having a really hard time keeping up, although that opening is quite valuable.
It's actually interesting you mentioned that, because you'd expect that's the role of the T side. The T side keeps the CTs guessing, where are they pushing, how are they pushing, but the fact that SK have seized so much control that they actually are the ones dictating this pace, as well as, of course, the positions that CLG are allowed to take. If you just cast your mind to Berry and his CZ, that's enough to instill some kind of anxious behavior from his CLG. And look at this, the flash slows him down perfectly, and now Sanden readying for this assault. CLG trying to make something happen over on B.
Yeah, Barry gonna go down. Another great opening, but they are being flanked by Asilian, but he might be too late once again here. Sanden does go down. Asilian picks up a kill. Cadian with a shot.
Okay.
The bomb is down. It's a 2v3. This might actually be possible, although they realize where Asilian is coming from, and he is trying to see if he can get in through Monster. Already been spotted out, and in a bit of a tough fight here. He's fighting two people at once from two different angles. Not a fun time, and Cadian can't even really help him out here, so yeah, probably not gonna work out. I think SK should just try and look for whatever they can, maybe save the rifles. They won't have a lot of money going into the next round if they lose everything here. Asilian going down, and Tarek with a good kill there on Cadian, so a fine round from CLG.
Yeah, a fine round. That's probably the best way to describe it. Still not as clean as it should be for a team like CLG, who do sometimes just show us glimmers of what they potentially can be, and we've seen them finding more and more success as of late.
That round was actually a little bit closer than maybe it seemed. Asilian's timing was off by maybe 5 seconds or so. So if he had been a little bit faster, not that he could have known, it would have been dangerous. Good start here, though.
Yeah, this is actually one of the few times we've seen CLG get the opening picks. Where can they build from this, though? As maybe that slow style of play may benefit them here when they are playing from an advantage. Though, do you see the door swing open and Berry snatch a frag and get away with his life? Not too sure how CLG will be feeling about that one, but Hayes now in a grave. And SK starting to try and put their numbers in the right place.
Yeah, I mean, a bit of a shame that Barry's down to 12 health, but actually SK played this. This is the right idea. If you're two people down, you kind of have to take a risk to try and get back into it. CLG, on the other hand, they should just try and group up and use the fact that they have the man advantage here.
Talking of risk, look at Nico's positioning. He has pushed up, and this is something that we haven't seen too much of from SK. And CLG making their whereabouts known with that utility. They must check this corner, otherwise Nico could go absolutely huge. He's going to catch a glimpse of one, finds two. This should be 2 kills, and it is going to be just that. As Cutler and JDM now have been left in a dire situation. It is a 2v2, but CLG, they started so damn strong. Nico again! This man is on fire. Freeze watching from the sidelines and seeing Nico just turn up. As it's going to be now JDM who has it all to do.
1v2 with about 20 seconds left, and he is moving in. He wants that free kill on someone, so he could at least turn it into a 1v1 and get a chance to put the bomb down. It should be possible here if he finds the right angle, because I don't think they can stop him if he's planning towards the truck. But then he's also trapped in the corner, and that is no fun at all. And there it is, Nico coming up with a quad kill and winning the round. I think also top fragging it into this half with 18, 2, and 9. We were having this discussion on the panel, and it's why I said, when it comes to Nico in particular, I might actually want to sacrifice skill for communication. He's just that good, and yeah, it's such a delight watching him play.
Yeah, it truly is, and he seems to be someone that has a very good read on the game. You talk about skill, part of that skill that I feel Nico possesses is his reads. We saw him kind of really starting to pick apart CLG as the kind of second half of the first half, if that makes sense, started to play out.
12 and 3 is a bit of an overwhelming score.
He's been left hanging here. There we go. Okay. He doesn't want it. He refused to let go that time. He was like, it's not going to happen. I know the camera's on me. Let's get this on. And that's some team synergy there as they find their high five.
You don't want to be left.
You don't want to be that guy.
It's going to be on Reddit anyway. You realize that. Hi, Reddit. But I mean, 12 to 3 would have been fine if this was the first iteration of Overpass. Then everything would have been glorious. 3 rounds, T-side Overpass would have been all right, but not this time. Look at Finesse. Great opening shot here on Sanden, but Cadian is going to return and taking down Hayes, and now they are trying to push quick into that bomb site.
Look at Berry and Cadian's health. Make it just Cadian as the nade does land in the top pocket of Berry's SK shirt. And now it looks like Nico has kind of hit the brakes somewhat. He realizes that there is a heavy CT presence on this site. It's JDM, Cutler, and Finesse ready. Oh, make it just 2. Cutler's head is found by the P2K of Nico. And so with a 1 health Cadian and Asilian 82 points of health between them. Going to be trying to find some sort of way into this site. And the bomb in the hands of that millimeter fraction health Cadian.
Yeah, and I think they may have even been spotted going into connector again. I think that jump up really worked out there. Resilient trying to push in, but he's also very low on health, and this doesn't seem doable at all. He's going to end up going down to JDM, who picks up another kill. And Cadian, last man here. A bomb plant would be very impressive at this point. He's going to make his way over, and could they stop him? They are running in. They really should deny this, and they're going to be successful as well. Finesse with a triple kill. Very well done, and 12-4. What do you think, Alex? Are we watching the early stages of a comeback here?
I mean, I'm British. It's in my nature to love a comeback, to love an underdog. And right now, CLG have most definitely got the collar on. I'm intrigued to see if they can do much more here. I mean, going to the second round, their buy is intriguing. Going for the double SMG, they're not anticipating armor from the SK boys. And I mean, they're going to be surprised when they do charge into the site.
Yeah, and they are going with incredible speed into this bomb site. No slowing down here. Finesse with the one, with the double with the submachine gun, and looking for more, but Hayes is going to be taken over instead. A lot of money being made here by CLG, although he might be giving up the bomb plant here.
I think JDM's got something to say about that, as he does find 2 with the Scout. More success so far with the Scout than the AWP, but still, that's another one for CLG, and that was a huge investment from SK, just dashed by CLG.
So how is that a British thing, loving the
honestly, I think it is hardwired into us. If someone tells us that a team shouldn't win, we immediately need them to win.
Is that because in sports you usually end up being the underdog?
Oh, hang on a second. Hold on. I think it is.
Oh.
Maybe, just maybe.
I had to throw that in there.
Although I'm not sure. Hang on, let's just talk about Danish sports for a second.
I think 1996 was the last time we did something.
Okay.
Something happened back then, I'm sure. JDM and Tarek again, and well, this is kind of an uneventful round as SK can't really do much. Again, I don't think they actually invested into any kind of grenades either, but they only had Glocks as well, so I can kind of forgive that. I'm sort of wondering why. Yeah, they had a little bit, so maybe they could have got more out of this round. They should have got at least a couple of kills, but they are going to go for the buy here.
Yeah, they are going to look to potentially surprise CLG. Of course, 3 rounds have elapsed, and so see if we are going to be... Is that a... Okay, SK calling the pause. They want to make some decisions. They obviously want to avoid this Overpass curse that we've seen so recently with comebacks. Look no further than Hellraisers in their recent performances on Overpass. They've been making ridiculous comebacks over at the offline qualifiers for the major. And maybe, just maybe, we're going to be seeing the same thing play out again. Of course, just 3 rounds so far. Let's not go absolutely crazy, but it's good to see CLG are not going to be rolling over and letting this one fall away.
Yeah, so we'll see SK just, I think, sorting out a couple of issues and we'll be good to go. But you're right. Also, from CLG's point of view, don't want to go into the next match, whatever that might be, and feel like you've just been crushed on this map. SK with a full buy and plenty of smokes. No Molotovs, though, so not exactly perfect. And CLG, on the other hand, they do have that AWP on JDM, obviously, which is very important. I'm hoping CLG are going to try and take control, kind of like how SK did it over the A side of the map and the restrooms area.
I think that the restrooms are such a crucial point. It's actually a point you made just before we went on, talking about how taking control and seizing control. Look at that. That's exactly what they're doing. JDM and Hayes. Actually, Hayes diving into the connector area, but already JDM making his whereabouts known and making SK slow down. Saying slow down, they're actually having a bit of a party over towards Playground as they are starting to push on towards Long. I don't know how announced they have been.
Well, look at Nico. He's just sneaking in alone in this bomb site. This is highly unusual. Normally, you won't have a chance to do this, but he's actually taken over the B bomb site on his own. Now, that they should know someone's here. Nico's now waiting as Hayes comes back in. Are they actually going to be able to do this? He's ready and waiting. He's got a very good chance of getting a shot, but he doesn't want to give it away too soon. There's Tarek and JDM going down, and Nico to spray as they try and rotate to the A side of the map. Eventually, he goes down to Finesse, but this is a very unusual round here for SK.
This is very odd, and I think CLG are confused as well. As Cillian letting out his frustrations with a failed smoke. Unless he really didn't want people to see him in toilets. Oh, and Finesse following in a similar fashion, as throwing nades has become all too difficult here at the Intel Extreme Masters. And so the 4 members of SK have greeted Nico after his incredible recon work. We're actually going to be seeing Finesse connect onto Berry, finally making their way on towards that B site. And 20 seconds left on the clock. Sandon, you need to get that bomb down, does so. And so now it's CLG who have to pull their socks up and start bringing frags home.
Finesse moving very aggressively forwards, going to get the kill there, but Cutler goes down and Cillian and Cadian will finish the round.
Okay.
And bring it back to SK here, 13-6. That was a tough round for CLG to win. Actually a bit surprised that Finesse got that kill when he pushed up. Seemed like he should have maybe just got sandwiched in there, but no, it worked out quite well. Now,
this is important.
3 Molotovs this time, by the way, on SK. 4 in fact.
Four indeed. Just Sandon who decided he wasn't quite interested at all. Running a little low on funds. Let's see though where we go from here. 3 FAMAS for CLG, so they're going to have to do a lot to secure this round, especially considering the limited utility or the massive utility over on SK side of things. So it does look like they're going to be doing that long play once again. Nico kind of doing something similar, as he is the one being left to his own devices over on B. Cutler and Finesse this time much more ready to receive him. They're not going to be falling for the same trick twice. As who is going to be the one to step a toe out of line? Because CLG, they are very, very passive, quite reminiscent of what we saw from SK actually. Not kind of being worried, too concerned over about restrooms, and just leaving the terrorist side to their own devices.
Yeah, about 50 seconds left. They've checked to make sure no one's in connector, and I think they know that there's no one in the immediate sewer area, so an A execute might not be too bad of an idea. And you know, executing when you have a stand-in is always going to be a little bit more tricky, but Nico knows how to throw flashbangs. Is going to be popping that one, and already you can see CLG just trying to move back here, and maybe there should be a chance for a bomb plant here for the SK team. Spraying down and almost getting the kill on Taric. A follow-up grenade would be beautiful right about now. Barry going to get the kill. Taric gone down as well, and yeah, this is a 5v3, and CLG might actually think about saving these FAMASs here, but yeah, not going to work out, is it?
Yeah, I think Cutler and Finesse desperately trying to hold on to that, but Armor and FAMAS. And, I mean, SK, they managed to just kind of worm their way into the site. A couple of opportunities there from JDM did go amiss. And it looks like they're going to try and catch a couple of exits. Hoping that Barry may overextend, try and make it the next round as difficult as they can for SK. That's going to be a double for Finesse as CLG spring to life, and potentially there's a low health Sandon there. I think they realize time not going to be their friend, and they're just going to be backing away from that one. But still, making a dent as much as they can in that round, and it's going to be 14 though on the board for SK. They're getting dangerously close to that 16.
Yeah, they are. Cool round coming in from the terrorist side this time. Just a couple of set smokes, and then having Taric, I think it was, sort of, you know, stuck by the truck, and no one could really easily help him out. At that point, I almost wish CLG would make like a joint team decision. Either you try and fight it, and then you pop flash your way out and just try and go for it, or you go for the full retake. You let them get the bomb down without losing anyone, and you go for a 5-man retake if that's possible. It seemed like they were a little bit disjointed here, but now they're being very aggressive. And look at Taric with a triple kill, all headshots with the 5-7. That's incredible. SK surely going to be a bit shell-shocked, also giving up the bomb over at Long. That was incredible.
That was insane. Puts a rifle in his hand, as well as Taric has just made an incredible impact with just the investment of that 5-7. And now, with the bomb loose, you can see Berry's on a real tough mission now. Flash thrown out. They realize they have complete control. And actually, Hayes is coming up from behind. Nico on his own over towards B. So it's already onto Berry and what he can do towards Long/Playground. And he's got, there's a bit of a timer on his life. He's got to watch out because Hayes is in hot pursuit. Does get the bomb, but it's surely going to be the end for him, as it's not going to be curtains just yet. How is he still alive? 10 points of health. Finally, Berry does meet his demise. And now all on to Nico. 5 CLG members still standing, and they're actually just shooting each other while they wait for this push.
Well, Nico seems to be, I don't know, set on at least doing some good damage here. I don't think he could do a 1v5. I mean, I've been hyping him a lot, but even I think this is outside of his range. Doing a bit of a one-tap there, but instead Cutler with a nice turn and gets that shot. So 14-7. Sick round from Taric. That was incredible.
Yeah, Taric just grabbed CLG by the shirt and pulled them into that 7th round. They needed that one on the board, and I mean, keeping that away from SK for as long as you possibly can. Seeing 15 is so intimidating for a team from a mental perspective, knowing that you step 1 toe out of line and it's, you know, it's the end. So seeing that one, very, very impressive from Taric with just the 5-7. Always been a kind of potent player with a pistol, especially that 5-7, and going to be seeing a nice start from Hayes this time. Berry now down, but a quick response from Nico with the Deagle, making things difficult. What have you got for me, Finesse? Not enough with the FAMAS. It's going to be Sandon's Tech 9, actually, that does chime in with a frag. But JDM, oh, he's so close with that spray down. That could have been glorious, and it still is, as we're going to be seeing the frags rain in, and all onto Sandon and Asilian. They have managed to recover rifles and a couple of frags, so now a 2v2, but CLG, they're looking healthier.
Huge deficit here, but Sandin in the perfect position. Health doesn't matter when you've got that kind of corner to sit in. Now Tarek is alone in a 1v2. The bomb is actually making its way out of the B bomb site. Sandin, if he got caught there by Tarek, who was sneaking right behind, it'd be a very awkward 1v1 for Asilian, but it's working out great right now, and CLG, they're just not having much luck.
Do you think they've just told him that they're low? Because we saw him switch to that 5-7, something of course we saw him pick up 3 frags just the round prior. No, back to the AK. Does have some nades to try and ease his way into the site. Both so low, and SK, they're going to realize they have to play the time, and Asilian again doesn't even get seen, and that's a big one for SK. Doesn't even matter about the health pool when you're playing the angles as well as they are. And so 15-7, and CLG, they've got everything now to do. 7 so far on the board for them, and we are going to be seeing JDM put an AWP once again in his hands. Can he be that aggressive AWP we saw from over on the side, of in the hands of Asilian and Cadian, in fact? Or are we going to be seeing JDM fall flat once more?
I actually really need to see them go aggressive, because they've got almost no grenades on CLG's side. So when you don't have any grenades, if the terrorist side just waits a little bit and baits out the couple of grenades that you do have, now we're down to 1 smoke on the CT side. Actually defending is going to be very tough, and retaking is going to be very nearly impossible. So yeah, I kind of would have hoped that CLG would have gone for the early kill here, just to give themselves that advantage to work with.
Yeah, it's all come down to this for CLG then. Will this be their first life lost, joining the likes of TSM and Renegades, who have both been brought down to 3 lives so far here at the Intel Extreme Masters? And looks like JDM is going to find one with the AWP. He's gone hyper aggressive, pushing in towards toilets. And with Cadian now down and now, he's expecting a second. He finds the head of Asilian. He's making this too damn easy, as it's going to be Barry who quickly responds. And I mean, CLG, when they find openers, they have sometimes on occasion struggled, but fortunately Tarek onto Barry, and now all onto Sandin and Nico. I mean, it's more likely than Nico 1v5, but still, this could very well be CLG fighting on.
Yeah, you saw something cool there from JDM, just a tiny detail, but obviously Barry jumped out for Asilian, and the point was Asilian was supposed to sort of duck in as JDM takes the shot for Barry, but actually he just keeps his cool and doesn't even, he knows that's coming. So yeah, very cerebral play coming out from JDM. And Nico with 2 great headshots, but Cutler takes him out. 8 seconds left, and Sandin now moving in, and what's been turned into a 1v2. He's gonna get the bomb plant here, but they're right on him. Can't even get the AK out in time, and ends up dropping Cutler. So CLG, they win the round, and they should as well. JDM with 2 very great openings, and yeah, that's going to make a huge difference, obviously. Yeah, good to see him picking them up with the AWP as well. Very prominent with the rifles so far in this game. He's actually kind of managed to get himself to the top of the scoreboard. 19 frags for JDM. Majority of them kind of coming from that AK-47, from that rifle. And now, where does CLG go? They have managed to put 8 on the board, but still, things are going to be looking a little dicey. I have to kind of... 7 rounds in a row? Mm-hmm. That's what we're looking for the overtime. We saw that actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We did. We saw 7 rounds in a row for SK on their CT side, so it's certainly doable. And their opponents have done it now. Can they? And I mean, Nico was playing that. I mean, a really beautiful play from Nico. He just seems to be. Look at this play. He's just going to walk straight through the fire and flames. Isn't quite going to find the frag, and he's going to be brought down incredibly low as that incendiary does its job beautifully. But he did bring finesse down to 15, so I guess he won by like 1 health point here. I'll take that. Barry maybe trying to see if he can follow it up, but Hayes will find his face instead, and he's going to be going down now. Still more than a minute left on the clock, and the bomb's all the way over at the birthday party, so not a lot to really to happen yet here for SK. Just looking for an opening. Might try and go for the boost. It seems like they will, and Cutler's got to be careful. If he moves too far to his left right here, it's going to be a little bit scary. Wow, that boost, yeah. This could get spicy. It's not going to be happening just yet, though. Time, plenty of it on the clock. 50 seconds for the remaining SK players to try and form out. And he's going to catch a glimpse and steal a frag. Hayes just really going to be questioning what just happened. He just jumped up and caught a glimpse of a pile of terrorists over towards that connector area. So just to point out to anyone who's new at the game, that boost is not supposed to take down players who are jumping like Hayes did. It's actually meant for the barrels in the corners. So that was just like an unintended side effect of that boost. Very interesting. It's going to leave CLG in a very tricky spot here. 4v4. Nico is kind of low on health, but 15 seconds left. They're pushing towards that A bomb site. JDM can finish this round right now if he gets the kill on the bomb planter. That's going to be the huge part. And there's KD, and the bomb is down 9 seconds. And great job there. Tarek with a double as well. And That is going to be a huge round here. Denying the bomb plant right now is very important. Every bomb plant that SK gets is going to net them an extra $800 per person, even if they don't win the round. And eventually, that actually does accumulate into another buy round. So if they get more buy rounds, obviously they essentially buy themselves more tickets in the lottery to try and win this. So yeah, it's definitely important that they deny those bomb plants.
Yeah, and my mind kind of starting to go back to what Cadian said at the start of this one, saying, why community, why did you put us on Overpass? Maybe SK just not comfortable on that T side. We've only seen them pick up 3 rounds so far, once they've been thrown onto the attacking side of things. And I mean, CLG, they're starting to find their footing, which is very, very good for you NA fans out there. But then the question remains is, where do they go from here? SK, of course, just on that eco, trying to gather some intel, try and make a dent into the fully bought up CLG.
That was actually Hayes taking down Nico through the same wall that he got killed last time. I mean, obviously this time it was rifles versus no armor, but still a little bit of revenge maybe. I actually think one of the things, apart from Nico just being a very good player and also the top fragger, 25 kills, another reason why CLG are having a hard time dealing with him, especially maybe on this side, is that because Nico's just pushing alone and doing whatever he feels, he as a player doesn't fit into any kind of pattern that CLG might be wanting to play against. Like, he's just the odd factor out here, and it's catching them off guard. How do you expect the unexpected here? I don't know.
I mean, is it fair to assume that SK have kind of just said, do what you do?
Yeah, which is what Nachi was saying on the panel, just saying, just cut the reins and let him do whatever he wants. That seems to be the tactic.
We saw evidence of that with his B plays. We saw him kind of just being left to his own devices, lurking around B and finding as much as he can. So, double figures then for CLG. This is starting to look slightly more realistic. Of course, you have to keep in mind that SK, one opener, one quick early frag onto CLG, and we've seen CLG really struggle to come back from these deficits, these early deficits in rounds. This is looking aggressive though. This is a bit different from CLG. JDM does slow down though, not interested in the party just yet. And instead is going to wait it out with Tarek to babysit Nico again. These guys got a little rivalry going on, and Hayes shows his head and Nico just wipes it clean off. As now SK, they're pushing through long.
Oh, bit of a pop flash out, but he's not going to go on it. Instead, follows it up with a Molotov, and this is very interesting. He's got to either try and commit to this or fall back quick, because now certainly he's given up his position, so it's going to be the latter of the two, and all the way back into the A-bomb site here. But I mean, how do you account for that kind of opening? You're supposed to have the upper hand when you're up on that wall boosted up. JDM very close here with the AWP. If he misses a shot, he could be going down, but he's not going to miss. Takes down Barry, KDM with a reply, and JDM going aggressive once again. Now is he trapped? He's got to be careful. He takes down Sandin. Great individual performance right now from the North American AWP, but turning around, he gets a shot on Nico too, and it is going to be a 2v3. What a performance here from JDM.
He needed to pick up all 3 of those frags, and he did. Nico had the drop on him, spins around 180. That's going to be a 4th. JDM just turns it on now, all onto Cadian. He has an AWP of his own, but he has to find 3 CLG members to clinch this win for SK and keep them at that 4 live point.
At this point, you want JDM to find the last one just to get the AWP ace. That doesn't happen too often. 10 seconds left. Looks like he's going to try and make his way out of here, Cadian, and going to be found by Cutler eventually. That was a very impressive round from JDM. At that range, you have to realize as well, if you miss a shot, they are going to hunt you down. You won't have a chance to do anything else. So that was incredible.
No smile there from JDM. He has really just got his eyes on the prize, and that's a real good sign to see that CLG, they're not getting carried away. Something that people have kind of mentioned about CLG beforehand is the fact that they can sometimes get overhyped, you know, trying to build that hype, get a little bit too into the victories, and that makes the losses even harder. As we're going to be seeing JDM just do it again, rinse and repeat. This time, of course, no rifles for the SK boys, as the nade is going to tickle a few of them down. That's going to be a second. Tarek following suit as well, as the bodies keep dropping, and it's going to be Nico, the last man standing. Just a deagle to his name. He is not long for this world, and we're going to find ourselves with CLG making this interesting. 15-12 then, as that is a whole lot consecutive rounds, 5 in a row for CLG. And we could be very well starting to look towards overtime.
Did Nico get hazed again looking over the wall with a deagle? I think he may have.
He keeps going for that peak. I'm not sure if he actually Did it happen again?
Yeah, he did.
He did.
YNK, yeah, he did. That's amazing. That's why Hayes is saying, Nico, please. But actually, JDM and Nico are tied for score right now, which is incredible. Really well done by JDM. He's really stepped it up in the latter stages of this game here. But Sandon going to return on Hayes, and it is going to be a 4v3. Cutler, easy kill there on Sandon. Now it's a 3v3, and still plenty of time here for SK. So this is hugely favoring the terrorist side. Very, very good for them to be thinning out the defense. And now they can group up, hit a bomb site, and it will be a lot of it down to how CLG set up. And right now they actually are setting up in a pretty good spot here. 2 people B, 1 person A. It seems like the right choice is SK are just waiting outside that B bomb site.
Yeah, it does look like SK are starting to set their sights, but as you mentioned, plenty of time for them to change it, and that's the kind of the beauty and the power that T's on Overpass do possess, is that they can keep the CT side guessing. Seeing that, SK not looking to throw too many tricks up their sleeves, as it does look like it's going to be Cadian trying to go aggressive. Why is he the one looking for the entry frag? Nico right behind him does get the trade though, and that should be a second, but JDM shakes his head and finds that frag with his AWP, and so now all onto Berry. They're low though, and you better watch out.
Yeah, and all they have to do right now is hide. They don't have to face Barry at all. The bomb's not down. He gets the shot there. It's crazy. Takes down Terry. And that's going to be it. Barry closing out the game at 16-12 and handing CLG their first life loss here at IEM. That was a very cool 1v2. And I don't know, they did not have to fight him. And it almost looked like they didn't want to either, but he took them down, both of them, through objects instead.
He forced them to fire him straight through the wall. I don't know. I mean, he kind of expected them to go for the repeat. Absolutely insane there from Berry. As that we were just talking about overtime, we just started to believe that CLG could do that, and just as they reached that point, maybe that's where they were as well. Berry just clutches it for his team, and we do see CLG lose their first life.
Actually very impressed by Barry in this particular game. He's sort of been hanging around the Danish global offensive scene for quite a long time and been in sort of various obscure teams, and I've honestly never expected much of anything. There is like a really, really huge talent pool in Danish Counter-Strike, but most of them never really make any kind of breakthrough. They just sort of show up every once in a while, and then not much happens after that. So that was definitely a very solid game from Barry overall. But obviously Nico, in a bit of a league of his own almost.
I'm looking forward to seeing him play again, as well as Barry as well. Both kind of lots of eyes on the SK roster as they do manage to secure their first win. Time for us to head over to the desk though and see how Will and the boys saw that one break down.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I mean, what looked to be possibly one-sided in the first half ended up getting pretty close. CLG was very, very close to bringing that to overtime. But eventually, as we saw in that very last moment, of course, Barry going for the 1v2, clutches that one out for SK, and now SK up on stage to decide what's going to happen in match number 4. For those of you guys at home, don't forget, keep voting for which map you want to see. We've seen 3 maps now played so far. We've got a couple others left, but again, you can't have repeats of the maps for each day. So you know your choices left. So far, we've played what? We've played Overpass, Cologne, and Dust 2. So the rest there, 4 maps left. You can vote for one of those, and they'll be slotted into those envelopes. What do you guys think? I mean, SK, do you think they're going to stick with the common sense plan, as we'll call it now?
Are the Danes going to pick the Danes? That's the question.
Well, to be honest with you, I would like to see Mouse Sports play either
either Envy or TSM.
So maybe you will see Mouse Sports and Envy play. If you think about it, if there is any team play going on between the Danish teams here, my prediction would be it's going to be Mouse.
I mean, you got Cash, Mirage, Inferno, and Train out there. So
right.
It's like, I think TSM would be happy with any of those.
Oh yeah, sure.
Envy probably happy with any of those.
Probably.
Mouse Sports.
Right.
They'd definitely be very happy with Cash, because they were a big Cash team back a while day.
I wonder if, at some point, SK's sitting there and they're, like you guys said, and they're like, well, maybe actually we'll give TSM a little bit of an edge because they already got a life taken away by Envy. And we see maybe Cash come out. They're like, well, Mouse looked really good on Dust 2. We'll see how they do against Envy and see if Envy can also kind of come back down to even ground, of course, as we go into match number 4.
I guess it depends on what map they go for, because they obviously pick the map first. Like, if it's Mirage or Cash, Mouse are very good on both of those. I can think of. Now, Inferno, I'd probably give it to TSM or Envy over that one easily. Train, as you mentioned earlier, it's a bit of a wild card still out there at the moment.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of people are trying to figure things out and train over these next 2 weeks. This is one of those maps that came into the map pool and nobody's really had time to sit down and really crack out a really solid tactic. Or more to the point, nobody wants to show a solid tactic on train just yet.
I mean, of course, there's lots of angles to consider here. But as we continue to speculate, of course, we have only one way of finding out. The votes are closing for the next map. We do have our winners on stage with OJ to find out which map match number 4 will be played on, and of course, which 2 teams will be playing in the next game.
We certainly do, Chopra. Thank you very much, guys. Casper, first off, congratulations on holding on to all 4 lives. You made that harder than it should have been, though.
I don't know, we didn't have that much control. We were basically just trying to play a bit random, and also they broke our economy a couple of times. We had some good control in CT in the beginning, but it was kind of shaky when they started to do the executes. But I mean, overall, great play by my teammates. I didn't have my best game, but they certainly played insanely well, so yeah.
Well, you said you had great control to start with. When you see a team coming back at you, like CLG were, how nervous do you get? Do you get sweaty palms?
No, basically we try to stay focused and calm, and we try to think, okay, the way that they're developing their game, how should we try and deal with that? Like, what should we change? Should we be more aggressive? Should we maybe not allow them the kind of map control that we're giving them? So we're trying to change up our playstyle a little bit, instead of always saying that because we lead 7-0, everything is perfect. Sometimes you still have to be logical and change up small things so they don't counter you easily.
It's an interesting thought. Is there any difference knowing you're playing a best of 1?
I mean, all that you can say about best of 1 is that every kill matters, and if you just win the pistol rounds, it gets kind of easy, and if you get the money going, I don't know, nearly any team can win when it's a best of 1, so...
Well, let's get into the next teams. First, though, we're going to have a look at the map which has been chosen by the community. What map would you like to see get chosen? Because it means you won't be playing it again today.
Maybe... Actually, to be completely honest, I don't mind. The only map we hadn't practiced before this event was Overpass, so that was kind of lucky, but unlucky, but I don't mind. It can be any map.
Well, here we go then. You get to choose from one of these boxes. It's the esports game show now, 1 to 8. Which one are you going to choose?
1, 2, I'll go for 3.
He's going for 3. Casper's gone for 3, and that is Mirage, as chosen by Vafflin. Thank you very much for that. Let's see what else was up there. We can see Mirage, just a couple of those, a couple of caches, Inferno, a couple of trains as well. So Mirage is the map you've gone for. Which 2 teams do you want to see play that map? Give me the first name, give me the first team first.
I would like to give my Danish brothers TSM a chance to make revenge, because I know that they are better than losing games. So I'll give my homies a chance of winning, so they're going to be my first pick.
And who are you going to choose for them to play against?
I'll pick my friend favorite, Renegades, the Aussie boys.
The Aussie boys, who lost their first one, so 2 teams down to 3 lives. Talk me through the politics here. Talk me through the thinking. Why have you chosen TSM and Renegades to go against each other?
All random. No.
It's not random. Give me some thoughts. There must be some thinking in this.
Okay, well, I mean, Renegades lost their first game, and maybe when we pick them now, they can get easily down to only having 2 lives left. So that could be a fast way of getting a strong team out of the tournament. So that's basically how we're thinking.
So you're trying to get rid of a team already?
Yeah, I mean, that's how you have to think in this system. I feel like you don't always have to put up the 2 strongest against each other. Sometimes you just need to eliminate the one with the fewest lives.
Stone cold killer. Thank you very much, Casper, which means we're going to see those 2 teams go against each other. TSM taking on Renegades, and we'll see that after this break.